All right, thank you for coming today to this session, to this beautiful location that we have here. I've got the better view, I think, than you have. As was mentioned, I am Professor Sean Planke. I'm Professor of Applied Linguistics at Otaru University of Commerce in Otaru, Japan. Some of you have been there. It's a major tourist destination for people coming to Hokkaido. And I'll be talking about the Ainu, the potential branding of the Ainu in Japan. And I'll take you briefly through a little bit of information about the Ainu for those of you who don't know. And I'll talk a little bit about nation branding briefly. And then I'll talk about some suggestions from my experience in Hokkaido of things that we might want to look at, that the Ainu might want to look at for the benefit of the Ainu, but also for the benefit of Hokkaido as a whole. Okay, I've sort of shortened down my abstract here because there were parts in it that I'm not going to talk about today for saving time. But nation branding can be defined in its simplest form as applying corporate branding techniques to countries. I, of course, come from a business university, so money is a central concern, business is a central concern, Hokkaido, the economy in general as well. This presentation will fit branding of indigenous societies into the global economy within the broader context of nation branding, both as nations within nations and as independent entities, with specific attention given to the situation of the Ainu in Hokkaido, Japan. With increased globalization, the nation brand is viewed today as another of a nation's assets for not only purposes of export, trade, and tourism, but also as a tool for solidifying the image of that community or nation, both from the outside looking in and from within as well. Okay, here we have Japan. I'm guessing that you all know where Japan is. East Asia, off the east coast of China, Russia. Here we have Japan, the four main islands, Kyushu, Shikoku, Honshu, and the area that I'm talking about, and the area that I come from, the area that I consider home, Hokkaido, up in the north. Okay, we say up in the north, considering we're in Greenland, it's actually quite far south. It's at about 40 to 45 degrees north. Sapporo sits at about 43 north. Okay, so this is the area that we're talking about. These islands that you see here are the disputed islands between Russia and Japan, the Kuril Islands that run up to Kamchatka. And this, of course, is Okinawa, and this is not the position of Okinawa. Okinawa runs off of here to Taiwan. What we're looking at here is the historical distribution of the Ainu. There's Hokkaido in the center. You can see that the Ainu ran up halfway up through Sakhalin. This is the rest of the Sakhalin Islands, where the Nikti and some of the other indigenous groups up there are. Up the Kuril Island chain to Kamchatka, and of course Kamchatka you go up and end up in Alaska. You go up and over. What we have here is where there were known settlements of Ainu, where Ainu had been known to have lived and experienced. The Sakhalin Ainu, most of the Sakhalin Ainu were brought down to Japan after World War II. 800 families were moved to the area where Abetz is now, which is just outside of Sapporo City, about half hour outside of Sapporo City. So they've been moved down. These here, most of the Kuril Islands from this part north are abandoned islands now. These islands here are Russian-controlled islands down to here, where you have Etoroku, Kunashiri, and the Hamomai Inlets. And here's Hokkaido. This area in light pink here, this is where there's evidence of past Ainu experience from place names. And there are hundreds and hundreds of place names throughout northern Japan that still exist and are still in use. Many of them, Hokkaido, Sapporo itself is a former Ainu name that's still used. It's rendered with Japanese characters now, but it's still an Ainu name. So we can see that they came down quite far. Tokyo's right there, by the way. Okay, everybody with me so far? All right. Within Hokkaido, we have the Ainu distribution. And many people have asked me so far how many Ainu are left, and the information that I have, this is a bit dated right now, but it was a really good map, so I took it There's about 25,000 left. Most of them have been fully assimilated into Japanese society. Here you can see the main portion of them. Ishikari is the area where Sapporo exists. These are the county areas, actually. Ishikari, there's 2,400 at this point in time, which was 99. 29% of them at Iburi, which runs along the southern coast where Tomokomai and some of the other places are. Hidaka, this area down here, 8,965, whoops. And this includes Nibatani village, which was more than 80% Ainu at the time. Okay, so you see this belt going across here. And there's not much up here. There's a lot of mountains through here, and this is the northern point where you're only about 30 kilometers from Russia. Okay. And Numoy here, unfortunately, I don't know why it's at 0, which is very strange. That's on the western coast. All right, so what happened? If you don't know the history is the history experienced by a lot of indigenous groups where there's been a colonial power involved. And Japanese policies of assimilation, it's kind of small, so I'll read this to you. By 1871, many Ainu customs, including the tattooing of women's mouths and the burning of the familial home upon the death of a family member, okay, so they used to burn the family house, were banned. The Ainu language was also banned, as the Japanese government set out to assimilate the Ainu into becoming Japanese and officially classifying them as former Aborigines. In 1899, the Hokkaido Aborigine Protection Act was created. It did nothing to protect them. It did exactly the opposite. Okay. Yet, despite its name, the act did little more than increase the efforts to assimilate the Ainu. The Japanese government encouraged the Ainu to shift from their traditional role as hunter-gatherers to farming. At the same time, Ainu lands were seized, and when the land was redistributed to the Ainu, they got the poorest of the agricultural land. The least fertile lands. In 1901, Ainu children were forced to attend Japanese primary schools, and Ainu children began learning Japanese as their first language. The assimilation policies of the Japanese government resulted in the near elimination of the Ainu language and culture by the mid-20th century. Today, there are no monolingual native speakers left. That's quite sad. Okay. But in 2008, the Japanese government, after years and years and years of declaring Japan as a homogeneous society, finally recognized the Ainu as an indigenous people with a distinct language, religion, and culture. Okay, so we're in 2015. That's 7 years. It's only 7 years. Why did they do this? I was thinking about this a few days ago. Why they would have done this? The Japanese government has argued again and again and again that it's a homogeneous society. So why would they suddenly recognize the Ainu? Well, the Ainu are no longer a threat. My belief is that the Japanese government feels that assimilation is fairly complete now, and that there's no longer a threat of the Ainu rising up or declaring some type of independence or anything like that. It's okay. And probably under a lot of international pressure, which is Gaiatsu in Japanese. So they've got the recognition now. And here's the article on The Economist. Here you can see an Ainu ceremony. There'll be a picture later which has 2 Ainu people in it, but this is much more the image that people have of the Ainu. It's not a very good picture, but with the white beard, they often have the beards. They have pale-colored skin, which looks like European or Russian, and very thick eyebrows, very thick hair features, slightly different body shape than the Japanese. So they got the recognition. That was only 7 years ago, so we're right at the beginning of this now. So what is nation branding? Okay, I gave you a brief introduction in the abstract, but here are 3 different definitions, and I like to use these in my presentation because they're slightly different from one another. First, nation brand refers to the likability and credibility of a country. And this is the Presidential Council on Nation Branding in Korea. Okay. How credible are we? How much are we liked outside of the country? Okay, it's our image. 2, applying corporate branding techniques to countries. It's Council on Foreign Relations. And 3, I like this one the best, working with governments to help them plan the policies, strategies, investments, and innovations which lead their country towards an improved profile and reputation in the world. Okay. But why do we want to do this? That's the question. Okay. And by nation branding, I'm referring to the Ainu, and here you have a picture of 2 Ainu. I think he looks more Ainu than she does, but you can see the traditional clothes. This is probably taken at one of the Potorokotan, which are the villages, probably a Shiroi, is what I'm guessing, or at Nimitani. And why is this important? And there are 2 reasons here. The second one is quite important. The first one is many nations have come to realize the need to present a carefully crafted image of what they have to offer to the world. Okay? And being here in Greenland, I've been sort of listening for that. What is the image that Greenland is presenting itself to the world? What do they want people to see? In order to attract everything from investment to trade to educational opportunities and development to tourism. And 2, by carefully crafting your image, and this is very important, carefully crafting your image can prevent others from doing it for you. Okay? So what I would like to see is I would like the Ainu to craft their own image of Hokkaido, what they want us to see, rather than having the Japanese government. And by Japanese government, I'm not solely talking about the Japanese government in Sapporo. I'm talking about the Japanese government in Tokyo, which decides everything throughout the country. It's such a top-down system. But I like this very much. Making your own decisions so that others don't do it for you. Now, the branding of the Ainu. It's been argued here that very little has been done historically to promote the Ainu as a uniquely Hokkaido brand. Okay. And that now is the time to take advantage of a couple of unique opportunities. So what's going on in Hokkaido that's going to spur this? Okay, and what I want to do is, what I want to suggest, and what I have been suggesting to companies and to businesses and to government people that I've been talking to, is bringing the Ainu to the forefront of Hokkaido again. If your culture has been repressed for 100 years, the people within that culture are often going to hide it. And this is what's happened in Hokkaido, is that many Ainu, because they've been assimilated into Japanese, are hiding their Ainu heritage because of discrimination. So if we raise that up, then there's no need to do that anymore. We're saying that this is the culture of Hokkaido, and this is what we want to emphasize in Hokkaido, both for the benefit of the Ainu and for the benefit of people in Hokkaido in general, then this is what we should be doing. To me, having lived in Hokkaido for 20 years, my image of Hokkaido cannot separate from my image of the Ainu. But for the tourists and for the visitors and for the people coming in from Tokyo, from China, from other places, they don't have that. They just see Hokkaido in the Japanese image. Now let me give you 2 examples of what I'm talking about. Here we have Guam. When you arrive in Guam, this is the first thing you see. Many people are stopping to take pictures of it. It clogs up traffic. It says Hafa'adai, which is Chamorro, and it means basically welcome. Hello, welcome to Guam. When you arrive at Naha Airport in Okinawa, you have Ryukyuin, which is Mensore, which of course means welcome. Same thing in Okinawa. So here's Guam, here's Okinawa. What do you think we get when we land at Shinchitose Airport in Sapporo? The gateway to Hokkaido. Okay, oops, did I miss it? No. This is the arrivals area at Shinchitose Airport. No sign, no anything, no nothing. No recognition of anything other than, this could be in Tokyo, this could be in Norway, this could be anywhere. Okay. And this is the first image that people see when they land in Hokkaido. Unfortunately. Let me go back one. Okay. The flight route between Tokyo Haneda and Sapporo Chitose Airport is the world's busiest. It's argued between that and one in Korea. Basically, there are more than 100 flights a day running between Sapporo Chitose and Tokyo Haneda Airport. More than 100. Yet, when you arrive, that, of course, is what you get. I was just in New Zealand 3 weeks ago. Air New Zealand, many of their planes are in Maori designs. You know it. You know when you arrive what you're looking at. Okay, that this is the land of Maori. Hokkaido, there's nothing. So what would it be if we put a welcome sign up? It would be Iran Karate, which means hello in the Ainu language, of course. For Japanese people, they'll know immediately that this is Ainu. Can anyone tell me why? Besides the fact that it says Iran Karate. Why? Because it's in katakana. Because it's in the syllabary that's used for foreign languages. Okay, to say that this is not Japanese. All right. And katakana is generally what's used for the Ainu. There. So that's what the sign would look like. Now, in terms of branding, the Ainu language is sometimes quite difficult to say. Words can become quite long sometimes, and it looks a little bit like Finnish when you look at it, or Greenlandic when you see the words. So it's not as easy to deal with as Japanese, which is CBCB. Okay. Now, Hokkaido's been experiencing a tourism boom since about 2012. Okay. Here's a headline that I just took from the newspaper from February 10th. As foreign tourists come streaming in, Hokkaido Chitose Airport nears the breaking point from 2011. We had 842,000 people. They're expecting somewhere close to 2 million this year coming in. Okay? So there's potential there. With many tourists coming in from Thailand, from Taiwan, from South Korea, from China especially, tourists are wanting to go to the Ainu villages at Shiroi, that's the main one, Niigata, where we saw before, and at Lake Akan out in the east. That's an Ainu Otorokotan, Ainu village there, that's the one at Shiroi. Now is the opportunity for the Ainu to regain somewhat of what culturally was taken from them and to raise awareness and understanding of Hokkaido as a traditional homeland. So here are my suggestions, and these are the suggestions that I've been making in the city of Sapporo. The Ainu welcome at the gateways of Chitose Airport, Sapporo Chitose, at Sapporo Station, and at Hakodate, where the Shinkansen is going to start coming in this year, first Shinkansen in Hokkaido, coming in March of 2016. The Ainu pattern to be used in publicity and representations of Hokkaido, advertising, uniforms. This is for the sports teams, professional sports teams in particular, and the like. An Ainu design and Ainu language incorporated in images of Sapporo's 2022 Winter Olympics bid, and in other government-sanctioned events. We had the G8 Summit in Hokkaido in 2003, 2004, I believe. Nothing. There was nothing there. When they did it in Okinawa, there was a 2,000 yen note made, a special currency bill for it. There was nothing done for Hokkaido. Nothing done for the 72 Olympics as well. Education increased educational opportunities for Hokkaido visitors to experience Ainu culture. An Ainu pattern plane flying between Haneda and Chitose. We have Pikachu. You know Pikachu? Okay, Pokemon. There's a Pokemon plane. There's a plane for a band from Hokkaido called Glay. But there's nothing for the maiden. And Ainu patterns, as we saw in the first couple pictures, are quite beautiful. They're distinct. In Hokkaido, in Japan, they're distinct. And education about the place names, of which there are hundreds for the area that are Ainu names. In the presentations, I saw Daniel's presentation, and in one of the other presentations, where you had seen people crossing out the indigenous names for the place names. This never happened in Hokkaido. We still have all the Ainu place names are still there. They put Japanese characters for them, but the pronunciation is still the same, or similar to it. So that gives an advantage, because those are still there, they still exist. In other words, bringing Ainu culture out of the shadows and highlighting the Ainu as the unique culture of Hokkaido, bringing both raised awareness and raised status, benefiting both the Ainu and the Japanese and the other residents of Hokkaido.
You're at 20 minutes.
Yep. There's the photo credits. Thank you. Any questions?